Hi, welcome to the summary of success session number 4 that was held January 13th. Yes, it was Friday the 13th, so you may see some black cats and things like that on the slides, but we got through it okay. One of the main focuses of this presentation was taking time to reflect on a first semester for all of you, and for most of you it was really a strong semester. I'll share some information on your grades later on. But just to give you an idea of some other things that are going to be part of this presentation, as always, we include news and updates, things that are timely that you should know now or in the weeks and months ahead. We will look at your grades. We'll reflect on those. We did some reflecting and discussion at the session. That will be part of your homework assignment related to this, is to do what the other students did, and they did a great job at the session and really kind of put some good time into it, which was appreciated. So hopefully you will do the same. I will preview the SAT and the M-STEP tests, of which there are 3 coming up in April. These are very important. The SAT is the most important test you will take, or have taken probably, and will take for at least a few years probably. And I'll talk more about that and our preparation sessions, which will be held this winter as part of the presentation. And we'll wrap up with having you take a brief iPad use survey. It's a Google form. I'll share the address for that, and that'll be part of your homework assignment. So here we go to the news. This actually is old news. January 13th was the last day to drop or add a class. Any classes that you have on your schedule right now, you should not be thinking about withdrawing or dropping at this point. There's just no reason to think about that at this time. Now, some of the classes may be hard. There might be classes where the work is starting to gear up, whether it's a lot of reading or papers or whatever it is. But it's definitely not time to think about dropping a class. So there are no changes that you can make. Remember the actions for success, and a couple of them, one was complete and another was adapt. And in some cases you have to adapt. You have to work differently. You have to work harder. You have to put more time in. Or sometimes it's just doing things differently, not necessarily working more, but just working smarter in terms of how you take notes and how you study and so on. So you want to save this card, and here's the card I'm talking about. I'm sure everybody has played Monopoly, and you're kind of happy to get that get out of jail free card because you can use it whenever you want. In this case, what I'm talking about is the idea that if something happens in the next 5 semesters, and 4 after this one, you'll have 2 in 12th grade and 2 more semesters in year 13 and a lot more college classes. You may get into a class that you need to withdraw from. Maybe it's the right idea to do it, but now is not the time to do that. And once you fail or withdraw from just one class, you've pretty much given up the chance of finishing a degree on time and finishing up a degree at no cost. And I know you and your parents are going to want that to happen. So don't play that card now. Save it until you really need it, and if you don't need it, that's awesome. I think at the end of Monopoly you actually could get paid if you still had that community chest card. So try to save the card, and it will save you hundreds of dollars in the future. Textbooks and course materials, by the time you're reading this, you should have what you need. If anything new comes up, and sometimes it does, and an instructor adds something that they want their students to purchase, let us know. And if it's something that is required, then we'll get it for you. Optional things, if an instructor says, well, this might be a good resource, usually we don't purchase those for students. You can purchase those on your own. But otherwise, contact Mrs. Lawson, and she will help you get what you need. Otherwise, I think most of you should be all set. This is something to keep in mind. Enrollment for the 2017 cohort is underway. It started the first of the year, and I encourage you to tell any friends or family members, cousins, or classmates who might be in 10th grade. Let them know that now is the time to learn about the Middle College and apply. Applications will not be accepted after March 31st. That seems like a long way away, but the weeks are clicking by, and I'd hate to have someone who you think would be a good person for the Middle College not do anything until April 10th, and it's too late. We will not accept applications after March 31st. Be a positive representative of the Middle College. I assume you are liking the program. If not, let us know and let us know why. But most of you, I think, are enjoying it. I think it's a good opportunity, and feel free to share that with people who might be asking you about it. Our annual open house is Saturday, February 4th. It's about a week and a half from the time I'm recording this. We always like to have some current middle college students there to mingle with the prospective new students and share their experiences and what they think about the middle college and doing college courses and being in high school and a middle college student. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I'll be sending an email out to students about this. But please send me an email right away if you're interested in helping out, and I'll give you the time to report and everything. But we need you from 10 in the morning till noon on February 4th, so just a couple of hours. But it's kind of a neat thing, and the students being there and talking to the new prospective students and their family, their parents, is a valuable part of the open house. So looking ahead a couple of years, although it's not too soon, I wanted to let you guys know that an admissions rep from Oakland University, Ms. Meg Lalonde, will be at the Middle College on Wednesday, February 15th in the afternoon from 12:30 to 3. So if you have a 1 o'clock class, if you can get here right away, you can meet with her for a little bit before you have to head off to class. If your class ends at 2:15, she should be here until 3 o'clock, and I'm sure would stay a little bit after if you arrived, couldn't get here till a little later, as long as you stop in. So what do? Here's this admissions advisor. You're not applying yet, but you can learn about what programs Oakland University offers and what you should think of when choosing classes at SC4 that will transfer successfully to Oakland, and just what are their requirements for applying and being accepted. You could ask her about scholarship opportunities and things like that. So it's a great chance to meet with a college rep. I know they come to many of the partner high schools, but this is a chance where there's usually not a lot of students that stop by, so students have a good time, a good chance to talk to the college advisors, and we'll keep you informed when others are in the area as well. SC4 academic advisors, of course, are right here on campus. We're requiring all of you to meet with an SC4 advisor at least once a year. They're very nice people. They will help you with your program of study and career focus. Some of you aren't exactly sure what you want to do yet, or you think you know the title of what you want to do, but you might not know a lot about that career or what you need academically to get a job in that area. They're wonderful to learn about credit transfer and the Michigan Transfer Agreement. And these are things where you're making decisions already, even including your winter classes, that will help you, in your next steps. And in April, registration opens for the fall semester when you're going to sign up for 3 more classes. So you want to make sure you know why you're taking what you're taking, not just because it sounds cool or it's at a good time. You want to try to make sure it helps you with your SC4 program of study, and if you're going on to a 4-year university, that it helps with that as well. The advisors are located on the 2nd floor of the SC4 Welcome Center. You can make an appointment by just going up there and talking to the administrative assistant up there, and she will help you find a time when you can meet with an advisor, or you can do it from within your portal. I believe it's in the academic profile section. There's a link to make an appointment with an advisor. And come to think of it, it might be under the Student Services button. When you go into your portal, there's some buttons on the right side. I think if you go under Student Support or Student Services, you'll find a link to academic advising and can make an appointment there. And you do it all online. Okay, so that's something you want to do, and earlier in the winter is better, because as it gets closer to registration, they're more booked up, and so they're all very nice. They love middle college students, and we work with them closely. And it's time for you to start meeting with an academic advisor. Something else that'll help you as you move towards choosing classes for the fall and then next winter and so on is career cruising. I believe all of you, unless you're not attending one of our partner high schools, have a career cruising account. And can log in. You might already have had your one day of career cruising at the high school. I know that sometimes can be frustrating, or sometimes students don't take it seriously because they don't always get the career hits, if you will, that sound interesting to them. But you really need to use that tool. It's very powerful. You want to go beyond the basic requirements to identify 3 careers and 2 colleges and so on. And that's all good, especially if you've taken that seriously. But it's important to realize you are in college now. Your classmates who are sitting in there that are not in college, are not working towards a degree, they're not going to start doing what you're doing for 2 more years. You're in college. You need what Career Cruising provides more than the average junior. You need a more focused career pathway. That leads to an academic focus. What degree do I need to, be able to be in the career that I want? And then what colleges offer that academic program. So again, you're in it. Decisions you make right now are going to impact what you do in the future and how much the middle college program benefits you. Okay, so again, you're making decisions now that depend on a clear focus in all of those areas. So even if you've completed the Career Cruising requirements for the year, go back in there, explore, find the career area that you're interested in, and dig into it. Look at all the components, especially the academic side of it that talks about college programs, and then you can click on those and it links you to colleges in Michigan or around the country that provide those. So there's a lot to do. We'll talk more about it at the spring success session, but get started now while you have some time. Quick reminder about snow days. It's been a fantastic winter in terms of non-freezing temperatures, so we haven't had to worry too much about slipping and sliding. If the college is open, if SC4 is open, the main campus, you are expected to attend. You obviously have to make the decision, and in many cases your parents will have input on that decision as to whether or not to drive to campus and attend your classes. But if the campus is open and you don't attend, you have to accept the consequences, if any, from your instructor. Okay, you can't just say, well, Yale schools were closed, therefore I didn't come in. That's not a good excuse. If it's too dangerous for you to come in, then you make that call just like any adult would make that call as well. If you stay home, you want to contact your instructor right away, send him or her an email, and keep up on your work. Read ahead. You should have the syllabus with you, and you can do the work that's expected of you. So the coursework does go on. So just keep an eye out. I believe you'd get an email from the college, or if you signed up for those alerts, I know I get alerts, or check the SC4 website to see if they're open or not. Uh-oh. Watch out there. That's not good news. All right. I'm going to take a short break, get a drink of water, and I'll be right back, and we'll talk about your grades last. Okay. Now we're going to spend a little time as part of the reflection part of this session looking at the grades that students earned in the fall. And no, we're not going to put individual grades up there, but I think it's important for you to see how students did, and I'll give you a little preview how well most of our students did. And I want, you may be one of those students that did really well, but if you didn't, I want you to see that you can. The potential is there. So first of all, we'll look at all Blue Water Middle College Academy students. They took a total of 2,003 courses. Hard to believe. I think that's the most that we've ever had students take. I'm sure it is. So out of those 2,000 courses, almost 800 of the grades of those courses were A or A minus. A huge number, 40% of the grades this fall, A or A minus. It's important to keep in mind that the students, as they go farther into the program, are taking higher level courses, higher level math courses, more science courses, higher level maybe psychology courses. So this is all not real basic, speech 101, political science 101 courses. When we look at the number of B's, almost 600 students earned a B plus, B, or B minus. So that's another almost 30% of the grades. And overall, out of those 2,000, 1,664 grades were C minus or higher, 83.5%. So that really is a great number. And keep in mind that Blue Water Middle College students are enroll with all different levels of grade point averages. They're not all 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, 4.0 students. So you guys can do this and can continue to do well in your college classes, and it really pays off in the future. So kudos to you. Now, specifically for our 11th graders, let's see how you guys did, because that's actually even better news, believe it or not. So you, as a cohort of new students, most of you 11th graders, some 9th and 10th, took 462 courses, so about a fourth of the courses were taken by you guys. 263 of those were A or A minus. Now the percentage is incredible. 57% of you got an A or an A minus. Was college success, SD 140, part of that? Yeah, probably, but not all students got A's or B's in that class, and so that wasn't necessarily a gimme. So the fact that 57% of you got an A minus or A in the courses, or the course grades were that's fantastic. Another 27% were B's, and if we look at C minus or higher, 92% of the grades were a C minus or higher. So there's some honors related to that you can start being awarded now. So this is important, and you want to keep track of these somehow as they start to build, because they're good for your resume. The first thing you guys might qualify for is SC4's President's List. It's awarded or posted every semester. You would get a letter, I believe, mailed to you if you are on the President's List for a particular semester. You do need 6 or more credit hours and a grade of 3.0, a grade point average, for that semester. So that's a B average. Several of you guys may only have 5 credit hours a semester. College Success is 2 credits, and if you took speech or political science or sociology, those are just 3 credit classes, so your total would be 5. But some of you would have 6 credits. Psych 180 is 4 credits, CIS 115 is 4 credits, and so on. So if you got over a 3.0 and you took 6 credits, congratulations, you are on SC4's President's List. And if you go to their website and search President's List, you should find a list and should find your name on it. Phi Theta Kappa is an honor society for community colleges nationwide, probably internationally. So if you have 12 or more credits and a 3.0 or higher grade point, you're invited to join. There is a cost to joining Phi Theta Kappa. I believe it's $100 to be initiated. But you have an opportunity as a member of PTK or Phi Theta Kappa to participate in activities on campus. A couple of years ago, the Phi Theta Kappa president at SC4 was a Blue Water Middle College student in her 13th year, and she got to travel to Houston, Texas, and I think another, possibly St. Louis, to represent the chapter, SC4's chapter, at national conferences and meetings. So it was a very cool opportunity for her. The other thing is you quite often qualify for scholarships. Some colleges, not all, but some of them, if you're a member of Phi Theta Kappa, you automatically receive a $500 or $1,000 scholarship. So the cost of the $100 initiation fee is well worth it if you know you're going to be earning 10 times that back in scholarship dollars. And it's a great thing to put on a resume. I see resumes in the past looking to hire, whether it's teachers or other positions, a student that will indicate their education, and it'll say St. Clair County Community College, Bachelor's of Arts or whatever, and then it'll say member Phi Theta Kappa, and that's a good plus to have that. So that will be coming, but you probably would not be notified about that until after this semester, and if you get to 12 or more credits. One thing I wanted to show you, and this is kind of where the black cat might come in, is almost every semester about 5% of the grades are E's. Another 5%, almost 6% this time, were withdraws or W's. And that is not something you want to have show up on your transcript. If you do, because 2% of the grades for your cohort were E's and 2% were withdraws, you want to stop it then. 1 is okay. 1 E, 1 W over the course of a whole degree transcript is okay, but you don't want any more than that. And again, nobody has to fail or withdraw from a class. You just need to get help. We don't know if you're struggling right now, and we don't get grades until early alert grades are posted, which is after 6 weeks of class. So come to us if you're struggling in any of your classes. I promise we will help. We'll be sure you get directed to someone who can help. So if offered help, accept it, and then the key is to act on it. If people give you strategies, if they tell you what to do to improve, whether it's your instructor or someone in the Achievement Center, you've got to act on that, or it doesn't matter. Just going to the Achievement Center is not going to help you improve. So keep that in mind. All right, the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to introduce it, and then what you'll do, this will be part of the homework assignment, and this is what the students did while they were there. We took several minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and they actually wrote their responses on a handout. So we're going to attach that handout to the email that links you to this presentation. But I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes of introducing it. Being in college classes is something that's pretty different than what you've experienced, my guess, in a lot of ways. The classes themselves, the way the discussions took place, the expectations of the instructor, getting to or from campus, not having class some days at all, and having maybe two college classes on other days. There's a lot going on, and being in class with students who are older than you. So it's important that you reflect on how you did, and think about, if you did well, what good things led to you doing well. If you didn't do so well, what might have hindered that. So we want you to think about things, and you're going to be asked to write about it, such as your feelings about making the switch to the middle college, and what the personal experience has been like. Do you feel like you've grown in confidence, or has it been made things, I guess, more anxious for you? So reflect on that and acknowledge it. If you're glad you made the change to enrolled in the Blue Water Middle College, that's awesome. Think about why. And if you are not so glad or not sure, talk about that. We want you to consider the good and the bad. And I guess the goal behind this, what you'll see in the actual assignment, is in effect you're writing comments to potential students who are thinking about the middle college. We want to use some of those things, never with your name, but we want to use some of the ideas, good and bad, to identify challenges they might face, but also the good things from your eyes, not just from Mr. Spencer's or Ms. Weimer's or Mr. Ruiz's or Ms. Barr's, but from a student's eyes. Why are you glad you did this, and how did you grow, and so on. So also you'll be asked to write about, or incorporate this into your answer. What challenges will they face, and are those a good thing to have those challenges? Why or why not? So that's going to be one of the assignments we're going to ask of you, and we will expect that you write more than just a couple of sentences. There's a lot to think about, and if you were put in the position of sitting down and talking to a prospective new student, someone thinking about the middle college, what would you tell them? The second assignment we're going to ask you to do and submit is looking at yourself as either a creator or a victim in certain areas, and that those terms should be familiar to you from your college success class, because I know that's a significant part of the on-course textbook that you used, and it's so important. No one's totally 100% a creator, nor is anyone totally 100% a victim. But it's really important to identify when you are viewing yourself as a victim too much, because then you put the control of your success in someone else's hands. Attached to the email you'll be receiving with the link to the video, will be documents that again, the content should look familiar. There'll be a table looking at the victim versus creator language, and then also one titled Choices of Successful Students. And just to give you a couple of examples, I know it's hard when you can't see them, but the victim versus creator language, an example is that victims make excuses. So a victim might say, this instructor is so boring, he puts me to sleep. Maybe you're saying that about me right now, but so in that case, the instructor is so boring he puts me to sleep. Where the creator would say, I'm having difficulty staying awake in this class, so I'm going to ask permission to record the lectures, and then I'll listen to them a little at a time and take detailed notes based on that. Or I'll sit up front, or maybe both. So they're actually coming up with a way, creating a way to overcome the fact that the class may be boring. It may be hard to stay awake. but you can't just say that I can't succeed in this class because I'm going to sleep. You have to come up with ways of overcoming that. Another one is a victim mentality, where you might do the same thing over and over again, even if it's not working. For example, going to the tutoring center is no help. There aren't enough tutors. Whereas a creator would say, I've been going to the tutoring center right after lunch when it's really busy. I'll start going in the morning to see if more tutors are available then. So you're making a change, you're creating something new to succeed. And so again, I know it is boring when you're hearing me read these things, but so take a look at both documents, including the choices of successful students, and those are listed below, relating to the chapters in your book. You'll see these on the screen: accepting personal responsibility, discovering self-motivation, mastering self-management, and so on. And there are examples of those in there. So take time. You're going to be asked to it will say, do you consider yourself a creator or victim overall? Are there areas of school or life where you are one or the other? So you might be more of a creator in certain classes or in certain parts of your life, and feel like you kind of take on more of a victim role in others. And the idea is to keep pushing yourself, keep trying to become that creator in as many areas as you can. So you will need to complete that. Ms. Weimer will have some directions in the email about how to submit those two assignments: the advice for an incoming student and the creator-victim reflection. So I'm going to take another brief pause, and then I'm going to shift over to a presentation on the SAT and the assessments coming up. This is critical. Now, if you need to take a break now and come back to this video in a few minutes or the next day, that's okay. But if not, you can push on through for the SAT presentation. Okay, the next few minutes I'm going to talk about primarily the SAT exam, but it's part of, as you will see, a 3-section Michigan Merit Exam month, if you will, where there's two tests and in a row, and then there's a third test that you'll be taking as a junior. But let's get into it. So in this case, let me actually start the presentation. Sorry about that. There we go. So the MME stands for the Michigan Merit Exam, and as I mentioned, the MME consists of 3 main assessments that are each divided up into smaller sections or exams on those days. Okay, so 3 days of testing, not full days, but 3 days of testing with subsections. And you guys are familiar with some of these from the PSAT that you've probably already taken, many of you. The SAT college entrance examination is scheduled for Tuesday, April 11th. All 11th graders in the state of Michigan are taking the SAT on the same day at the same time. So it's very standardized. That's what they call it, a standardized test. So that one will be on April 11th. The next day will be a test called ACT Work Keys, which is a job skills assessment in reading, math, and what they call locating information. The items on the exams, almost all, they all really have to do with real world problems and scenarios. It makes it a little more interesting than some other tests because of that. So that's the second day, ACT Work Keys. And then there's the M-STEP test, which is in social studies and science. And your high schools can have that test anytime between April 10th all the way up through May 5th. Chances are they'll do it more on the front end in April, but that will be another probably morning of testing at some point in that window of dates. So you'll have all 3 of those tests coming up. All students who attend one of our partner high schools will take the MME tests at their high school. You'll get details about preparing for the exam in terms of coding your answer documents and when to show up, where to report, what to bring. All those things will be provided by your high school. We have several students who don't attend one of our partner high schools. You will take the MME assessments at SC4, and Mr. Ruiz will be sending out an email to you shortly with some of the initial information, and then as it gets closer, more details will be shared. So keep checking your SC4 email on that. So now what I want to try to do now is share some of the how the scores predominantly in the SAT can affect you going forward. So to give you some motivation to care about getting ready for the test, and then why it's helpful to prepare. So in terms of why care about the SAT, in a nutshell, a higher score on the SAT means more college choice for you going forward. You're already in SC4, and you'll be able to continue in SC4 as long as you want, but many of you want to go on to other colleges and universities, and they will look at your SAT score. So the higher your score, the broader choice of colleges and universities you'll have to choose from in the future. And also a higher score on the SAT can translate literally into thousands, in some cases tens of thousands of dollars. As you'll see, it leads to more scholarship money, and I've got some examples of that coming up. And then one final reason why to care about this test is that in the future, most of you will have some kind of similar test that is considered high stakes. That it could be a licensing test for a certain profession, real estate, the police work, accounting, any of the medical fields will have some very significant tests that you can take all the classes in the world and get A's in the classes, but if you don't pass the test, then you will not get licensed and can't do that job. So there's a lot of some of those tests in your future. So I think if you treat this one as training for these future tests, it will give you some good experience for preparing for tests like this in your future. The first, some details now, or an example, I guess, on that idea that higher scores provide more college choice. We have some information from Michigan State, for example, students who apply to Michigan State. And in the 2014 freshman class, which I'm sure is similar to the 2016 freshman class, the grade point averages from high school were right around the mid 3.4, 3.5, 3.6 range, and as high as 3.9 and 4.0, of course. The SAT score, I know the number doesn't mean anything to you necessarily, but is between 1030 and 1210 on the SAT. Now the most you can get is a 1600. So you don't have to get them all right, but you've got to get in that range, or at least be close to it, to hope to get into Michigan State University. To give you an idea, the students in the middle college last year, they were our first cohort to take the SAT. Their average score was 1031. So right on the lower end of that range of students that enrolled in MSU. So this is a case where, if you were right around this range, or maybe 10, 20, 30 points below, some of those students might have wished that they had prepared a little more. Some students practiced and prepared a lot, many students don't, and that can end up hurting you, and you might not get into the college that you'd like to get into. Another school, just one more of these, is Central Michigan. Another one of the large state universities. We have a lot of students that attend and would like to attend Central. Their average GPA is about a 3.3, a little bit lower than Michigan State for their freshmen. And the SAT, if you look over here, their average is a 1070. Okay, now that's an average. Some students make it in with a 990, others will have a 1300 or 1400. But again, here's our average, 1030. So our average is less than the average to get into Central Michigan University. So I want you to have a score where it's going to be 1100, 1150, maybe even 1200. So you don't have to worry about being on a bubble. Do I get into Central? Do I get into Michigan State? Okay, because you will use your SAT score when you apply to colleges in about a year and a half. And that this is where this slide leads to. When you apply to universities, you apply as a freshman, just like your classmates who aren't in the middle college would do from your high school. Your admission depends in part on your SAT score, so you can't just assume that it will be good enough and I'm taking college classes. They will look at your SAT score when you apply. Financially, I mentioned that it can, a good score can add up to hundreds and thousands of dollars. Here's an example, Oakland University, where a lot of our students attend. And it's maybe a little hard for you to read, especially if you're viewing this video on your iPad or a phone. But what it states in this area right here, the orangish color, students in that area with their scores receive $1,500 a year. That's a pretty good scholarship. Students in the yellow part right here earn $2,000 a year. So that's an extra $500 a year for what could be, and I know it's hard for you to see this, but this is the ACT and SAT scores. This column right here is for students who scored from 1050 to 1080. This column right here is for students that scored from 1090 to 1120. So something like 1 or 2 questions could mean that your score jumps up 10 or 20 points, and therefore you've just earned yourself $500 a year in scholarship. So it pays to take that extra time to prepare so you don't wish that you'd done better. A few other examples, and again, maybe a little small, hard to see if you're on a smaller screen, but basically at Grand Valley State, the idea is that, and these are ACT scores, but you can see that an ACT of 23 equals about a 1050 on the SAT. So that can earn you, if your grade point is a 3.5, that earns you $1,000 a year at Grand Valley. And with similar grade point averages, but higher SAT or ACT scores, the amount you earn jumps up from $2,000 to $3,000 a year. And so again, our average was 1030. That wouldn't even put you on this chart. So we want you to do better, do more preparation. Same thing at Western Michigan. Having an SAT, you would have to be higher than 1030, but it makes a difference how much money you earn. And there's another chart about Saginaw Valley right there. So the key is good SAT scores equals thousands of dollars, and you need a good grade point as well, but it doesn't have to be 3.0, or I'm sorry, 3.9, 4.0 range. In the more present, I guess, a good SAT score can affect your English and math placement. Many students in your cohort placed into developmental English, in other words, English 50 or English 75, or developmental math courses like Math 75 or Math 81, based on their Compass scores. Your SAT scores can be used to place you into a credit-bearing course such as English 101 and Math 102 or 110 or so on. And even if you placed into Math 102, which is called a credit-bearing course, and we can pay for that course, by doing well in the math, you might place into Math 110, Math 112, maybe Math 113. And so you don't have to take as much math and still fulfill requirements for your degree. So there's some numbers on this based from last year's cohort. Based on their SAT math score, 33 placed into Math 75, which is developmental, 63 placed into Math 102, and 110 students placed into Math 110 or 112 based on their SAT. So again, a little bit of preparation can place you into 102 if you're not already there, or place you into something higher. Okay, and that, if you don't have to take Math 102, that frees up 5 credits you could use for something else. So those are some reasons why you should care about what your results are. Why spend time preparing? That's what I want to share in the next 2 or 3 slides. Knowing about a test is going to mean higher test scores. The more you know in terms about the timing, the types of questions, and so on, it's going to help you prepare and be ready for what's facing you. And then there's the idea of being familiar with it and practicing. You're going to be more comfortable when the actual test is sitting in front of you. If you've taken 2 or 3 full practice tests, you're going to be much more comfortable. And you say, all right, I get this is the kind of question it is. The numbers are a little different, but I know this and I've done this. And it just makes sense. And some students will say, well, I just don't do well on big tests. I have test anxiety. That tends to go away with more preparation and practice. It reduces anxiety, it builds your confidence, and it's just clearly going to improve your results. So we're going to offer some practice and preparation sessions. There will be opportunities probably at your high school. The RESA has some SAT prep sessions. Take advantage of those. It'll help you learn more about the tests, and when you practice, you're going to be more familiar and more comfortable with the test, and you're going to do better. So don't tell yourself you don't have time to practice, or work is starting to cut in. Those $40 you make for extra shifts over the next few weeks is really going to pale the amount of money you make compared to the money you will save by doing well on your SAT. So make time to practice and prepare. Our Prep sessions are optional, but we strongly recommend you attend. The schedule of them was given out with textbooks, and we'll probably, well, I don't know if I'm going to attach it to this email. I don't want to attach too much, but you can find out on the Student Success Central website. They're posted on the calendar on that website, and just contact us if you're not sure. But each session will focus on a different one of the 3 SAT and ACT WorkKeys tests. The first one actually will be the reading test, and as I record this, it's Thursday, January 26th. The sessions are actually Friday the 27th, and I don't know if we'll be sending this out in time for you to get this, but again, we've sent the information out already, and you should have that. The next prep session will probably be related to math. Okay? So we'll provide an overview of the test, and some sample items will be demonstrated, and then we will expect you to take advantage of some of the time to access the preparation resources and begin one of the practice tests, or go into the tutorial section. So plan on doing some work when you attend these sessions. They're an hour and a half. We're not going to say you have to stay the full time, but my goodness, if you're going there, take advantage of that time to learn about the test and then jump in and start with the practice and prep sessions. At this point, we're going to cover this at the session, but the College Board site, we talked about this. Many students had already logged into the College Board site and had an account. If you haven't, we'll have some of that information at the session, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. So if you haven't, go to the collegeboard.org site and log in, either create an account, or if you've taken the PSAT already, you will have an account. So find your username and password so you can access that, because you'll need that for the prep sessions that we're going to talk about. We have two classrooms scheduled, and they both have computer labs next to them. I'd love to fill those up. So in this case, I will be sending out information. I'll try to do that today, actually, about accessing your College Board account. So hopefully you can take care of that ahead of time. Okay. Okay, the final part of the presentation, and this is actually the last slide, is asking you to complete a brief, easily completed Google Form survey of how you're using your iPad. The survey is anonymous, so in this case, we're trying to get a little feedback how students are using them, whether it's just for notes or using the iStudies. You may indicate you're not using it at all, and that's important for us to know. Like I said, the survey is anonymous for a reason. We don't want someone to feel bad if they're not using it, that we'll come after them and take their iPad. We're not going to do that, but it helps for us to know how you're using it, and for most of the items it will have a scale. So you may use your iStudies a little bit, but just indicate that, because something is better than nothing, and it gives us an idea that, well, the student has at least inputted their schedule, so they're using it, maybe a 2 or a 3, maybe not to the level of a 5, but they're using it some. So the address is there, so I recommend as soon as you end this, if you can just go to that URL right there, tinyurl.com/BWMC iPad survey, and complete that, and that will add to the information that we received from the students who completed it at the session, and that's when they did it there. So just do that, and then you'll have a couple of assignments to do, a little bit of writing, and that will be about it. But again, this is a required session. We hope students can make it in person to these sessions. But we also realize that things come up and sometimes you can't. So now you have the information, and now you've got a little work to do to make sure that we know that you've got the information. So follow Ms. Weimer's email and respond to that quickly, please. Thank you.